The end of a legend. Scotland, December. The wind blew through the hills where the Outlander crew had just finished filming their final scene. The sky was overcast, a light drizzle fell, and in the midst of it, Caitríona Balfe stood silently, staring off into the distance, where Sam Heughan was still talking to the director. 10 years. That's how long they'd lived together, Claire and Jamie Fraser, two souls traveling through time, in love until war or death tore them apart. But today, Outlander officially ended. No more scenes, no more dialogue, no more Jamie and Claire. Just Sam and Caitríona, two real people, standing before the moment of farewell to the thing that had defined their lives. Caitríona sighed. There was a strange void in her heart, both painful and sweet. Journey of Two Souls. When Outlander began in 2013, Sam and Caitríona were just two actors trying to find their place. Sam, a boy from Balmaclellan, Scotland, was sincere and passionate. Caitríona, an Irish woman who had been a model, was strong and independent, with eyes that always held something deep. From their first audition, director Ron D. Moore said, "I didn't know who they were, but when Sam looked at Caitríona, I saw Jamie and Claire. From then on, they were more than just co-stars, they became a global phenomenon." Fans around the world believed they were more than just actors. Every look, every gesture in the film contained something more real than the script. Silent love. On film, Jamie and Claire are madly in love. In real life, Sam and Caitríona always say they are just best friends. But everyone feels it. There is something unspoken. In a 2017 interview, when asked about Sam, Caitríona smiled. "He is the most wonderful man I have ever met. I have probably never had a relationship like this, so real and so deep." And Sam simply said, "She is the woman who makes me believe in love." Those words drove fans around the world crazy. But then they remained silent, still acted, and continued to immerse the world in the eternal love of Jamie and Claire. The final scene. The last day of Outlander was filmed in an old house in the Highlands. The scene, Jamie and Claire grow old together, hand in hand, looking at the horizon. When the director shouted, "Cut!" the studio fell silent. Caitríona sat down on the couch, tears streaming down her face. Sam walked over and hugged her tightly. "We've come a long way together, Kate," he said. "So long, and so beautiful," she replied, her voice choking. The backstage cameras captured the moment. There was no longer a line between role and reality. Caitríona later shared, "When Sam hugged me in the final scene, I was no longer Claire. I was myself, a woman saying goodbye to the man she had lived with for 10 years. The Last Supper, and the confession. That evening, the crew held a farewell party. Music played, laughter mixed with tears. As everyone raised their glasses, Sam left the table and walked out onto the balcony, where the moonlight shone softly. Caitríona followed him. She stood behind him, hesitated for a few seconds, then called softly, "Sam." He turned. Their eyes met, both strange and familiar. "Do you remember the first time we met?" she asked. "I do, and I knew from that moment I couldn't take my eyes off you." She smiled, but tears fell. "I was afraid to say this because I didn't want to lose what we had. But if I don't say it today, I'll regret it forever." Sam was silent. Caitríona took a deep breath. "I love you, Sam. Maybe I've loved you for a long time, before I even realized it." There was no music, no applause. Just the naked truth between two souls. Sam stepped forward, took her hand, his voice shaking. "I know, and maybe I do too. I love you, Kate. But we've chosen different paths, haven't we?" She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes. But that doesn't make it any less true." Dawn after goodbye. The next morning, Caitríona left the hotel early. She took one last look at the studio, which had been her home for nearly a decade, She saw Sam standing in the distance, under the large oak tree where they had filmed Jamie and Claire's wedding scene. He smiled, raised his hand, and she returned the gesture. Wordlessly, they understood, this was not the end, but a chapter close. On the plane back to Ireland, Caitríona opened her phone and wrote a few lines on a personal note. 10 years. One man. One love without a name. There are things that will never be said, but they exist, in the eyes, in the memories, in every breath. The stormy interview. 2 weeks later, Caitríona appeared on Late Night with Graham Norton. The host asked her about her last scene. She smiled, but her eyes were a little sad. That scene was special. When Sam held my hand, I was no longer Claire, I was Caitríona, and he was Sam. We really broke up. The audience fell silent, the emotion subsided. Then Graham jokingly asked, "So have you ever thought, in another world, that the two of you could actually be together?" Caitríona paused, her eyes distant. Who knows? Maybe in another life, Jamie and Claire are still alive, and they still love each other. The moment went viral. Twitter exploded with the hashtags #KateConfession and #SamandKateForever. Sam Heughan replied. A week later, Sam appeared in a separate interview with Variety. When asked about Caitríona's statement, he laughed. "I saw it. She's amazing. I know Kate, she never says anything she doesn't feel." The reporter continued. "Do you feel the same way?" Sam was silent for a few seconds, then slowly said, "Love doesn't always need to be called. Sometimes it just needs to be there, and I think between us, it will always be there." Behind the scenes, a shocking photo. After Outlander aired its final episode, Sam's Instagram page posted a photo. Caitríona smiling, holding Claire's ring from the show, the sunset cast on her face. The only caption. "For all we were, are, and will be. Red heart. For all we were, are, and will be." The photo received more than 10 million likes in 24 hours. Fans everywhere commented, "Jamie and Claire forever. This is no longer acting. They are real, I know it." A love without definition. Caitríona later shared a lengthy article in The Hollywood Reporter, titled, "What Foreigners Have Given Me." In the post, she wrote, "Foreigners have given me a career, a family, and a soulmate. I learned that there are loves that don't need to be owned to last forever." When asked who her soulmate was, she simply smiled. If you've seen the film, you'll know the answer. The years that followed. Although they no longer act together, Sam and Caitríona still see each other regularly. They attend charity events in Glasgow together, pose for a photo for an anti-domestic violence campaign, and always give each other special looks that outsiders can't understand. In an interview in 2025, Sam revealed, "There are people who come into your life and never leave. She's one of them." The last letter. To mark the 10th anniversary of Outlander, Caitríona wrote a handwritten letter to Sam, which he later revealed in his memoir The Timeless Heart. Sam. Thank you for being my friend, my colleague, my Jamie, both on screen and off. Perhaps life didn't bring us together like Claire and Jamie. But I believe that, somewhere outside of time, we are still alive, loving and laughing like that first day. Caitríona. Sam said he cried when he read the letter. "She is the strongest woman I know, and the only one who has ever made me weak." Last words, "I loved him, and maybe still do." In her final interview before leaving Hollywood to live in Dublin, Caitríona was asked, "If you could say one thing to Sam right now, what would you say?" She smiled, her eyes sparkling. "I would say, I loved him, and maybe, I still love him." The reporter was speechless. It was the first, and possibly the last, time Caitríona had said what the world had always suspected. Legacy of a love. Outlander may have ended, but Sam and Caitríona's love, real or imagined, will live on forever. They have become symbols of love that transcends time, not only in the film but also in the hearts of audiences. Because sometimes the most beautiful love is not the one that is perfect, but the love that stops at the moment we still believe in it. And somewhere, among the Scottish hills, the wind still whispers. Jamie and Claire, Sam and Caitríona, they are still there, in love, forever.